30 years or so, and there's been two main ways. It's been PFI, which is the Private Finance Initiative, and outsourcing of services. So PFI was originally a Conservative policy which began in the early 1990s, and it was used for financing all sorts of things like bridges, schools, housings, defence projects. But the Labour government of Tony Blair decided to use PFI to build hospitals in 1997. The idea is to use private investment to build what is needed and then pay it back gradually later, which sounds perfectly reasonable, doesn't it? It's like having a mortgage, only this is more like having a mortgage on a store card because it's so expensive. This is a diagram done by the Telegraph newspaper in 2015. They gave some examples. They chose the most expensive ones, as you would. But if you see, the original cost of the one at the top left box was £1.1 billion pounds. I'm American now. But by the time it's all finished paying, we're going to be paying £7.8 billion pounds for it. So that's, quite a ridiculous rate of interest. And the payments per year were 127 million pounds. I can't even read this now. Another one, Peterborough and Strongford hospitals. It was only 336 million to build, but 2 billion it's going to cost eventually. According to the Guardian newspaper in 2012, the total costs for PFI in the Department of Health stood at over £79 billion, but when the capital costs were only £11.5 billion. So that's it would have been so much easier and cheaper to just buy it ourselves in the first place. And the payments for PFI schemes each year cost £1.9 billion. So the private sector is also involved through outsourcing of services. It started in 1983 during Mrs Thatcher's government. Things like catering, cleaning and facilities management were put out to private companies. More private involvement came with the NHS plan during the Labour government, with GP out-of-hours services and independent sector treatment centres. But since 2013, because of the Health and Social Care Act, private sector involvement has increased again because of clinical commissioning groups, which we call CCGs. They're now required to put out contracts for competitive tender to the private sector. Some examples of outsourcing in our area. At St Helier Hospital, if you've ever been in there, you might have noticed that the cleaning and catering services are provided by Mighty. 111 and out-of-hours GP services are provided by South London Doctors Urgent Care. And you've probably seen the little white minibuses providing the non-emergency transport services, and they're provided by G4S. Now, some might say, well, what's wrong with that? The private sector's more efficient, isn't it? Well, an American foundation called the Commonwealth Fund brought out a paper in 2014 comparing the healthcare system in the United States, because that's where they're from, to 10 other industrialised countries. And here's a chart that they produced. If you notice, under the UK, we scored first place for pretty much everything. And efficiency is near the bottom, and there it is. We were first for that at the time. But this was from data from between 2011 and 2013. That means it was before the Health and Social Care Act had really come in. By the way, you might also notice at the bottom the figures for the amount cost per person on healthcare. And we were the second cheapest out of this lot. And you might want to have a look at the difference between nearly everybody else in the American system. They were spending over $8,000 per year per person, and they don't even have universal coverage. The Public Services International Research Unit in the same year, 2014, they said the international evidence and evidence from individual countries strongly suggest that public providers have higher levels of technical efficiency than the private sector in healthcare. So no more greater efficiency in the private sector. But it's the costs of organising the outsourcing that makes this so much more ridiculous. Obviously, the contracts have to be put out to tender. The bids have to be looked at by the CCGs. The contracts have to be drawn up. The correct payments have to be organised. So people have to be paid to do this work. So how much does it cost? Would you believe there's no official figures? So we have to look to estimates. So the Centre for Health and Public Interest brought out a paper. Their estimate was £4.5 billion per year on just servicing the market, and they say that's a conservative estimate. There's another estimate here, rather less conservative. Methodology here was taking the NHS England budget, 120 billion, and taking note of the fact that the admin percentage of the bill for admin had gone up from 5% to 20%. She came to a figure of more than £10 billion per year. So what's all this got to do with St Helier? Here it is. I've only printed out a few pages. It's actually a 62-page document. This is called the Self-Sustainability and Transformation Plan for South West London. Ours is called South West London 5-Year Forward Plan. Now, I live in Sutton, so my MP is Paul Scully, Conservative, and he gets his staff to drop round a little 4-page paper every now and again. And I happened to notice this in it last time. And he was talking about these STPs, and he said, these plans are not about making cuts, but to ensure that increased resources for the NHS lead directly to better care for patients. But as a result of the spending review of 2015, NHS England has £22 billion of efficiencies to be made by 2021. South West London has to make £828 million of savings over that time. So, what would have not having had PFI and outsourcing have meant? Well, if we take the £1.9 billion per year we spend on PFI payments, and if we take the lower of the two estimates, so we put that £4.5 billion per year on outsourcing, what do we get? So we get £6.4 billion per year. And if we take the time from the 2015 review to 2021, 5 years, we get up to £32 billion. And they're only looking to save £22 billion. I think it's time we remove the private sector from the NHS. Yeah.